how did artifacts help you understand what role they might have had in Silk Road?
We always use artifacts to help us understand what ancient people were interested in. These are actually the items that people used in daily life. They are not objects that were used for something else, for some just burials. These objects that we find from the Silk Road are the actual objects that people used. So they tell us about trade. They tell us about their customs, their habits. You can take an archaeological artifact like a bowl, and you can see how they ate, what colors they liked, what items they liked, and where they would come from. It's just like being in Afghanistan today. People have different styles of clothing. They have different styles of pottery. They have different styles of house that tell us about how people live today. We can tell these same things in the past. So we really do get a good understanding of how people lived in Afghanistan thousands and thousands of years ago.
Thank you. You're doing a research and you conduct a major project under the water, the Black Sea. Please tell us about this important project.
Oh, thank you. My study is of ancient trade. I'm interested in how people moved artifacts back and forth. So I became very interested not only in Silk Road trade over land. You can imagine the cities, the ancient artifacts that they were left. But as soon as people were able to put these artifacts on boats, they did. Because it's easier to send goods by a ship than it is over land. So we became very interested in finding a ship that might have sunk with all of these goods so that they would be all together. It's a very, very rare thing. And this was our hope. And I'm so happy that in the year 2000, we were able to find a ship with all the artifacts intact.
What is the ship called?
It doesn't have a name.
They have a name?
We don't have a name for it. We looked for it. You know, this ship that we found in the Black Sea, it's more than 900 feet deep in the water. So you can't go with divers down. You only can go with robots down and bright lights. And we've done a small amount of excavation, and we found that most of the pottery was trade goods from the area around the Black Sea. So maybe they were trading honey, maybe they were trading olive oil. But again, a lot of it comes down to food.
I see, okay. And please tell us the different objects and sites.
We are very interested in the sites in the Black Sea. We work in Turkey. We have an ancient site called Sinop. There is a site in the Crimea called Chersonesus, which was a Greek city. What is interesting about all these sites, they have connections with Afghanistan. And in the exhibition that we have, thanks to all of the people who worked with us in Afghanistan, we were able to show ancient artifacts from 4 archaeological sites in Afghanistan. And this is what's on display. And I'd like to tell you about these 4 archaeological sites, because they really tell the story of Afghanistan and Afghanistan's role in the Silk Road. So of course, we had to pick 4 very special sites. What are the most special sites that we could find? So we start with a site in northern Afghanistan called Tepe Fulol. It's a very small site. It was a site that was found by accident by farmers in 1966. They were digging in their field, and as they were digging, they found some golden bowls, and they thought, mashallah, what great luck they had. They found these golden bowls, and because of their good fortune, these were beautiful gold bowls. Because of their good fortune, they wanted to share it with their neighbors. So they started to cut up the gold bowls. And all of a sudden, somebody from the museum found out, and they came and they said, oh my goodness, these aren't just any old gold bowls. These are 4,000-year-old bowls. Well, they were given to the National Museum, but they were cut into pieces. So you see these bowls because the farmers wanted they wanted to share the good luck with their neighbors. So, but these bowls are very important. They show that already 4,000 years ago, Afghanistan was very rich. They had local gold. The scenes on the bowls show agriculture. And now we know that the people who made these gold bowls lived in Afghanistan. They had cities. They had metallurgy. They made pottery. And they were in contact with their neighbors. So we wanted to show this site, Tepe Fulal, and these three famous gold bowls that were cut. We wanted to show people that already thousands and thousands years ago, 4,000 years ago, Afghanistan was a very rich country. So that is the first of the 4 sites that we have to show. The second site, we thought, what could we show about Afghanistan, which is really, really special? So we came upon another extremely important site. We thought, what happens when a country is rich? You know, like Afghanistan. It is a very rich country. It has agriculture. It has cities. And this richness sometimes invites invaders to come, and they want to take over the country. And we thought, who is the most famous person who tried to come into Afghanistan? And this was the famous Greek Alexander the Great, Iskander.
Yeah.
And he came 2,500 years ago, and he created 8 cities in Afghanistan, 8 Greek cities. And what's so interesting, we knew about these cities from history, but until 1961, nobody had found any traces of these cities. Then, in 1961, King Zahar Shah, he was hunting in northern Afghanistan, right near the Amu Darya River. And he and his hunting party, they were on their horses, and they were in the thicket looking for some wild animals. And instead of wild animals, they found some big carved stones from a Greek city. So the person who found the first city founded by Alexander the Great in Afghanistan was King Zahar Shah. So, yeah, he discovered it in 1961. So they began to excavate these, and they found a real Greek city in Afghanistan. Can you imagine Greek inscriptions, Greek pottery, Greek sculpture in Afghanistan? It was found at a site.
Yes, I can.
You can imagine.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a fantastic discovery. It became famous all the way around the world. So these artifacts from this city from 2,500 years ago, we have on display. That was the second site that we chose. So then we had to think of a third site. What site are we going to pick? Well, we have a very interesting site near the famous city of Bagram. The archaeological site is also called Bagram, but it's a couple of miles away from Air Force Base. So in Bagram, there was an ancient city that was founded by one of the kings of Afghanistan. And in the 1930s, archaeologists were searching for the palace. And they searched and searched, and they came across something which was quite unexpected. Instead of finding a palace, they found in the excavation some rooms that had been bricked up. And it was a merchant's warehouse. The merchant had been in Afghanistan 2,000 years ago, so after the time of Iskander, right during the time when Rome was trading with China and Afghanistan was at the center. And this merchant was a very wealthy merchant who became afraid, I don't know, maybe there were some problems, and he bricked up his very wealthy warehouse, and he went away, and he never came back. And well, too bad for the merchant, but good for archaeologists, because in 1937, they uncovered this warehouse. It had all of the goods from the Silk Road in it, trade items. It's one of the most amazing archaeological finds in the whole world found in Afghanistan. Trade items from Egypt, from China, from Rome, from India, all found here in Afghanistan. 2,000 years old. These are on display. We see a few of these objects for us. That's the third site that we picked. So then we have finally one more site that we wanted to pick. And this site is personally very important for me because this site was discovered by my Russian professor who was digging in northern Afghanistan at a site, and you will laugh at the name of the site. The site's name is Tala Tepe. And what did they find at Tala Tepe?
Was it in the 70s?
Yes, 1978, 79. They found a lot of tala. They found 20,000 pieces of gold.